Hello there, my very good friends, and in the year of our Lord 2020, Eva Marie is on her way back to WWE. It was Cultaholic who first broke the story on Monday, the 12th of October, stating that Eva was even being considered for a role on that night's episode of Raw. Now that part of this obviously didn't happen, but PW Insider came through with a follow-up report stating that Eva actually re-signed with WWE in September. It is a done deal. And they said that she was in Orlando, Florida to conduct the necessary medical tests so that she can be allowed to enter the Thunderdome. Lover her hater, Eva Marie is coming back, and going by the internet's response to this, a lot of you guys sure do hate her. To get a sample of that, a little cross-section, we'll head over to the renowned Good Take Factory Reddit, which is always known for approaching such subjects with logic and reason and, good opinions. Let's run through some of the hottest examples here. Dookie Boy 43 says, "Can we not? The only time she was bearable was when they scripted in an excuse for her to not wrestle every week." Well, that's not very nice, Dookie Boy. Dodgy Flapper 22 said, "Jesus, I'm sure Eva is a very nice person and I have nothing against her personally." Well, at least you're that kind, I guess. But what the F? The women's division is stacked, but they need another model that can barely wrestle. But we're saving the best for last year, as always. FSticks693 says, "She's terrible. Everyone has seen it, but how long until people start defending her for no reason other than to go against the popular opinion?" Well, FSticks693, if that is indeed your real name, I'm Andy Murray for WhatCulture Wrestling, and this is the Deep Dive. Eva Marie's WWE return is best for business. So, if you look at the responses to Eva Marie's comeback on Reddit, on Twitter, any platform you can think of, most of the negative ones revolve around this lack of in-ring ability, this perceived lack of skill between the ropes, and to be fair, there is a lot of evidence to support that. Eva was never a natural between the ropes, I think it's safe to say. I'm trying to be polite, but she just wasn't very good. She failed to master even the fundamentals of pro wrestling, demonstrated very little improvement during her time there. So why the hell am I going to sit here and make the argument that WWE should bring her back? Particularly in 2020, when you look at the top female talent in WWE, the Baileys, the Sasha Bankses, the Io Shirai's. These are genuinely among the best wrestlers in the world, regardless of gender. So why the hell would you bring Eva Marie back into that when she isn't very good? Well, the reason you bring her back into that is because she isn't very good. The goal of professional wrestling booking, and the sign of a good booker, is to hide a performer's weaknesses and highlight their strengths. This was a core tenet of Paul Heyman's booking philosophy and many others before and after him. It's how people get over. You're not so good at this, we're not going to have you do this. Hey, Andre the Giant, don't go at the top rope, just stand there and clobber blokes. That's what you're good at. Ricochet, don't do a promo for 30 minutes, you're not great at that. Do some cool flippy stuff, state-of-the-art in-ring action. That's your strength. That's how you'll get over outside of WWE, but I digress. The point with this is that, admittedly, Eva Marie's weaknesses are considerable. She has never looked particularly great between the ropes. That is a big hurdle when the job title is literally wrestler. However, it only makes the job WWE did with Eva Marie during her last, year or so with the company even more remarkable. Cast your minds back to 2015. Eva Marie was sent back to developmental, to NXT. After years of abuse on the main roster, "You're not a wrestler, you're just a model, you can't even apply a headlock or run the ropes, get the hell out of my precious wrestling ring, blah blah blah." Now, the assumption when this happened was that Eva was going down there for more seasoning. She was going to learn, she was going to grow, and she was going to come back, hopefully, a better wrestler. Now, that might have been the original intention, but that changed very, very quickly. Eva came down to NXT and she was booed immediately because of course she was. She was this sports entertainment interloper in this world of hyper work rate. NXT was really peaking, starting to take off at that time in 2015. And Eva Marie was, in the eyes of many a fan, just a sign of the past of a different era that they didn't want. Now this would normally be a problem. This could be a catastrophe if played the way WWE usually plays these things. However, what they did with Eva was very smart, in fact, and shockingly self-aware for a company that we don't usually associate with that trait. They recognized that she was kind of crap, that she wasn't very good at the art of professional wrestling, the bell to bell. But rather than pushing her against this, rather than going out and saying, hey, have a 20-minute match with Sasha Banks or die, they took advantage of it. They understood that every single fan in Full Sail University and watching at home was absolutely terrified of the prospect of Eva coming in and taking a spotlight, or worse, a title, away from one of their work rate favourites. So they manipulated that. They exploited it to build heat. The most notable example of this in NXT was Eva Marie's program, a short program with the NXT Women's Champion Bayley. This was tremendous stuff, genuinely excellent storytelling. The producers, the bookers, Triple H, whoever was responsible for this thing, managed to legitimately make you believe for much of that 7-minute match that Eva Marie, this model, this untrained person who could barely wrestle, was going to take the women's title that Bayley had fought so long and hard for away from her. They had you genuinely terrified that this was a thing that could happen. They did so not only in the build, but also the match itself, which featured several interference spots. So when Bayley won in the end and took the belt, retained it, and moved on, it was a giant relief. And then later, a few months into 2016, we got a very similar program. Asuka was the new hot act in the women's division. Eva Marie eliminated her from a battle royal. The building lost its collective mind, and the blow-off match was 10 minutes on NXT television, again provoking the fear, the anxiety that Eva Marie might beat the undefeated Asuka, and she lost again. Perfect. And all of this was extremely meta. WWE knew that you hated Eva Marie. So they trolled you, brothers and sisters, and hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you were one of the crowd in Full Sail booing your lungs out or getting all worked up at home watching these episodes of NXT, well, good. That was the point, and if you're above getting worked in professional wrestling, you should probably find a new hobby, because there's no point in watching pro wrestling if you're above being worked. And then, later in 2016, Eva Marie was brought up to SmackDown shortly after the new brand split came along, and the trolling continued. We saw it week on week. We got these long, elaborate introductions with the crazy announcer guy in the Concord, California. Eva Marie's coming down. She's gonna have her first match. What a big occasion. Woo! Can't wait. Building it up and not delivering it, snatching it away due to a set of unforeseen circumstances, varying from traffic problems to the wardrobe malfunction, of course. Now, we never got to see the end of this program. Eva was set to compete at SummerSlam that year, but she was suspended 30 days for violating the wellness policy. She never returned to television. She was effectively gone from 2016, although under contract until 2017, when she was quietly let go. Eva left WWE and found success in other business avenues, and more power to her for that. But the key to the two stories I've just described there, and key to her future success in WWE, is losing, right? You do all this stuff, you stoke the anxiety, you make people afraid and have them really worried on the edge of their seats, praying that Eva Marie loses before she does lose in the end. You can't have Eva Marie win the women's title from Bayley or Asuka, right? They're doing the work of their career at the moment, they deserve the spotlight. The payoff is always the troll heel losing. But in the build-up to that, in the interim, you can use a performer like Eva Marie in this hyper-athletic world where so many women in WWE are tremendous wrestlers. You can use her as a perfect contrast with which to generate heat. What you don't do is book big dumb 15 to 20 minute matches expecting some kind of work rate classic, because it's not gonna happen if we're being perfectly fair, unless Eva Marie has spent the past 4 years training just non-stop with the best wrestlers in the world, and maybe she has. Who knows? You troll people with her, you exploit their fears, you take advantage of them, and you work people with this extremely limited performer, because that, my friends, is pro wrestling in a nutshell. And of course, I'm gonna look like a right prat if she comes back into WWE, wins the Royal Rumble, and beats Asuka in 30 seconds at WrestleMania, but hey, that's why we have video. You can clip this and send it to me at the end of March when that happens, and I will cry into my shreddies. But until then, I don't know, man. I think you can use Eva Marie, this limited performer, for some pretty cool things. But as always, I want to know what you guys think of this situation. You can call me all the names in the world because I don't care. This was good before and it can be good again. Sound off down in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for your notifications. Then you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE and myself at Andy H. Murray, where you can tell me how wrong I am and how shiny my head looks under this light. Bye.